and this is where we talk about the comics that we're currently reading this week. So before Rich and I talk about the comics we're reading, I like to start off with what people have shared with me what they're reading this week. And so from Comic Watch, we have our editor-in-chief, Matt Meyer, saying that he is currently reading Green Arrow by Mike Grell. He said that it's dated in some regards, but solid street-level superheroing that feels less super and more regular dude trying to do the right thing, which in my mind sounds a lot like Hawkeye, like the Matt Fraction, David Aja, Hollingsworth Hawkeye type of thing with the street-level Archer. But that's really good to know. I'm always looking for, new stories to read, and this one sounds right up my alley. And then we have two from our Illuminacasters Discord channel. Joe Loves Comics said that yesterday I read Radiant Black number 24, and it was absolutely incredible. One of the most visually spectacular comics I've ever read. Excited for more and to read the rest of my polls from this week. And Kim from the ODPH podcast also said Radiant Black. He said that it got the 10 out of 10 grade from him last week. So good. He's catching up on the Phantom Road and Black Cloak from Image, embracing for the game changer of Amazing Spider-Man 25 this week. I'm not surprised by Radiant Black. I keep hearing what great series it is. So I know I got to check it out sometime. I was talking to you, Richard, and everybody, who's listening to the show knows that I just got stacks and stacks of comics I'm trying to get through. So I'm not trying to add more to my unread pile. But this is definitely one that once I get caught up, I want to go back and read this because I've heard nothing but great things. And the fact that I got two reviews this week of people saying that this is an absolutely incredible issue says volumes of that. So thank you all for sending in what you're currently reading. Richard, I know you and I had talked about you are actually not currently reading any comics right now. From the ones I just mentioned, Radiant Black, Green Arrow, or if there's a comic that you've heard of that's out there right now, is there any of those that kind of interest you or that you think that you might want to try to read at some point in the future?
Well, that Amazing Spider-Man one definitely sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, I'm into all things Spider-Man, really. Mm-hmm. It's so funny with me. Like I was talking to you about it before we started recording. I'm not much of a comic reader. Like I really haven't read a lot of comic books in my life, and I know I need to do that. Like there's a few on my list. Action's Hawkeye run. I've heard really great things about that. And, as much Spider-Man content as I can get. One of my personal favorite like comic character is Deadpool. I'm literally like sitting on a Deadpool.
Oh, that's awesome. Right, yeah, that's a great chair. Yeah.
I love this thing. There's literally like 4 other Deadpools on this thing that you can find. and it's just great. So I want to get into some Deadpool comics. But yeah, no, like at some point I know I need to get to it, but I'm going to start reading some comics and it's going to be great. And I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of Deadpool, there is a trade paperback I have. There's a couple of trade paperbacks of Deadpool that I have that I need to read, that I'm wanting to read. One of them is Dead Pie. Sorry. One of them is Deadpool versus Hawkeye. And the reason why I got it is, one, I love Deadpool and I love Hawkeye, but the cover was just so amazingly hysterical because it's one of those like classic, two villains kind of going at each other at an angle, so not like, straight from left to right, but at an angle from like the top right to the bottom left at each other, almost like the, God touching Adam scene from the, I forget the exact title of that painting, but, from Michelangelo, the Vatican. But what's funny
the
is
one that was just referenced in Guardians 3 with Adam Warlock and Peter.
I forgot about that. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Cause you're just like, maybe that's like the one criticism I have. Like who goes out and just like touches the finger and then brings them in, right? But it was a great reference. I love that.
Whatever, it was great.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, I had to find something, right?
Exactly.
But the thing about this cover that I absolutely love is that Hawkeye has his bow and arrow shooting directly at Deadpool. Deadpool also has a bow and arrow, but it's a Nerf bow and arrow, and you see a bunch of Nerf arrows. Yeah. And so just the cover alone, I'm like, I have to read this. I have to get it. I have to buy it. I have to read it. I haven't read it yet, but I love how comical Deadpool is. And speaking of, superhero movies, the series of Deadpool 1 and 2 has been my favorite. I think it's one of those top superhero well done movies as well too. I know that Guardians of the Galaxy, does a phenomenal job with the music, but Deadpool, gets pretty close to it. It's not as integrated with the narration, but it definitely elevates the story and hits you in the feels with those songs choices that they made with it as well. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely excited for Deadpool 3 to come out. I know everybody was losing their minds when they said that Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine.
yeah.
But yeah, if there's any, I would recommend just that alone for the cover. You should check that out.
Yeah. I have said it so many times. Deadpool 3 is, I think, my most anticipated MCU movie coming out. Like even maybe above it, Kang Dynasty and Secret War. Like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
see how much of a Deadpool fan I am, and getting Hugh Jackman back and getting the entire cast back. I cannot wait for that movie. I hope it's as good as we're expecting it to be.
Oh, I agree. Well, and all the people that they're bringing back from Deadpool, all the way from, oh gosh, I'm blanking her name, Vanessa, the actress who plays
Marina Baccarin.
Thank you. Yes, how she's coming back all the way through Peter from Deadpool 2. The
amazing. I'm so happy he's coming back, and Blind Al.
Yes, like it just seems like they're bringing back almost everybody from the core people from Deadpool. It just so. I know everybody's just going to be really excited about that, and I think everybody's. I wouldn't be surprised if it sold out that opening night because I think everybody is just.
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked at all. No.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop because I'll just go down that rabbit hole, and this will be a longer episode for that reason.
For sure.
Yeah. So the comics I'm reading this week. So there's two that I'm reading for Comic Watch to do reviews on this week, and I haven't had a chance to read them yet. But one of them is Batman Incorporated issue number 8, and I know that this is where we're going to get the introduction of Joker Incorporated, because I actually had the creators Ed Brisson and John Timms on the show, and they were talking about this on the episode. And so this is going to be the issue where we see Joker Incorporated, which is kind of like the opposite team of Batman Incorporated. So if you don't know much about this story, it's pretty much a Batman story without Batman in it. So if you want to have a Batman story, but with characters that you probably never read about before or new to you, this is a fantastic story. It's a team up comic book story. But it's very familiar because it has a lot of Batman themes and Batman parallels to it, but they're all brand new characters that you get to learn about and get to follow along. So I absolutely loving that. And then the other book I'm reviewing for Comic Watch is Stoneheart number 3 from Image Comics. It is written and illustrated by Emma Kuber, and I love the first 2 issues. It's very much a fantasy, kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons story. And I think she's done a fantastic job of telling the story with the use of her dialogue to the illustration and the colors and everything. She's been doing a great job with that. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that. The 4 comics I'm technically pulling 5th, but I'm going to explain why I'm saying I'm really pulling 4. The 4 I'm pulling this week that's coming out is Daredevil number 11, because I'm a huge Daredevil fan. So, I'm reading that. Rogan Gambit number 3, which has been a fantastic story. I've always been kind of a casual fan of Rogan Gambit, but this one is being written by Stephanie Phillips, and it's a fun story. It's really, it's everything that if you want just kind of like a exciting story, Rogan Gambit is definitely one of those. I'm also reading Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones, which is very interesting. I will say that I haven't been a huge fan of the art. I feel like some of the art has not really landed for me, but the story was really interesting, and so I'm still pulling that. And then I'm also pulling Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis. So this is an interesting series because most series you get a new issue every month. This one is a 5-issue series, but it's a new issue every week. So it's they're doing it a little bit differently. I'm not sure why. I read the first issue last week. It was interesting. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. I think it's just kind of setting up things. I'm definitely in it for Daredevil 2099 because he's going to be showing up next issue. So that's one of the reasons why I pulled it. And then the last issue that I'm technically pulling, but I'm not reading, is the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 25, but I'm getting the Disney variant. I don't know if you've been seeing this, Richard, or not. If you haven't, I'll send you pictures. Yeah, but they've been doing like, Disney characters as different Marvel characters. So this one is like I
love when they do stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I'll be honest, like I'm not reading the story. I'm just collecting the covers because I love the covers so much. I might frame them or something like that. And I know my son has been enjoying them as well. So I'm pulling it just to get the cover. I'm not reading the story at all whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
So, so those are the comics we're reading.